Hi, how you doing? I'm making this video to display exactly why I hate applying for jobs by USA Jobs. Some people might say, well, if you don't like using USA Jobs, use something else. Well, USA Jobs has become the center point for applying for jobs with the US government. My first problem is the searches. First, you put in some search criteria and let it go. But if you have a wide range of skills, don't hurt yourself by putting in specific words or phrases. Chances are, the department issuing the job posting has not written your keywords into their posting, so even though your targeted jobs may be available, they might not come up in your search results. I suggest you limit your search to specific areas or agencies, and not by job title. Sure, you'll have to surf the list for what you want, but you'll find the results of this method much more plentiful. Second, your results. USA Jobs will want to separate the available jobs to those available to US citizens and those to federal employees. I guess I don't have much of a problem with this, except many of the jobs which come up under federal employees are also open to VEOA eligible applicants. This means people not currently federal employees, but veterans, who, if not employed by the US government, are US citizens who also happen to be veterans. These results will not be visible in the US citizens listings. So you find a result that you like, but the results page does not display if a clearance is needed. You don't get that info until you open the posting. I know this sounds like a nitpick, but I believe it weighs heavily on whether someone would apply for the job or not. In my opinion, they could put clearance in place of department, since the agency is listed and usually identifies the department in its name. Now you open the job posting. You get all kinds of neat info in the header. Can't complain about that. Except it does not usually tell you the exact unit you'll be applying for. Sure, the agency is displayed, but that's just one level below the military branch, so it's not very descriptive. Salary range. This is a real tease. Sometimes there's a grave difference between the minimum and maximum pay. And not only that, but is it your net pay? Or is that the equivalent of your pay after benefits, some of which you might not be getting, depending on how or where you were hired? Open period. This is pretty straightforward. Or is it? I believe there is a minimum time period which a job has to be available, but I'm not sure. But there is definitely not a maximum time limit. Pay close attention to this, because agencies like Dodia post jobs that stay open for months. Then they just pick someone out if they need it. Kinda makes you wonder who they're looking for. The HR for Dodia called this pool hiring, whatever the hell that means. I also kind of think this is wrong because when someone's looking for a job, they kind of want it now, or pretty damn soon. You would also like to think that within a week or two you would start hearing about your status for the position. I assure you this is not the case. But I'll get to that in a second. Now let's look at some other things that are in the job posting. The job summary. This, as well as the about the position text, pause the video and read this and ask yourself if it describes a summary of a job or a position. This is more often than not absolutely not relevant to the job. Let me tell you why. Both of them typically describe the area which the job is located, almost like a travel agent. Nothing about the job itself like its title says. It is most common that these two worthless blocks are the exact same copy and paste text as 90% of the other jobs listed in your search results. But there is an irony here. Unless the job is one of the few that actually pay either relocation or are not concerned with narrowing their applicant search to only locals, a majority of positions list the requirement that applicants need to be within commuting area of the job. If this is the case, and you already live there, then why the hell do you need a description of where you already live? But I digress. The Who May Apply section should be labeled Who Has the Patience to Read Through a Bunch of Links, which any one of them will definitely find some way to disqualify you. Also, another note for the VEOA. I have fallen into this trap now 4 times. Sometimes when viewing a job posting, which is under the federal employees list, in the header of the post, Who May Apply, it lists VEOA eligibles. But in the lower Who May Apply section, VEOA might be absent. This is obviously a lazy quirk by the cut and paste idiot who posted the job, so you never know which text is actually correct until you apply. This can have some interesting effects on your application once it gets to Never Never Land. Duties. With regard to the job itself, this is the only worthwhile paragraph, besides the header, on the whole damn post. Nothing to complain about there. Qualifications required is usually a cut and paste for every other job of the like, but keep your eye for specific disqualifiers. The rest is a bunch of jargon. Read it carefully once, but then you've read it for every post. Until you get to this part. Agency contact information. I call this place Never Never Land, because this is nothing more than an email forwarding facility. If you have a question or an issue regarding an application or its status, the application processing station is the only place you are able to contact. And yes, this is exactly how it's listed. And when they get around to it, they might pass your message on. They don't read it, they don't respond to it. This is clear by the canned answer they send you when they receive your message. Now on to my favorite section. What to expect next. Now this is what it actually says. Pause the video and read it if you'd like. I'll wait. Now it does not say, but probably should say the following text. After we check to see that your package is complete, we'll pass it on to the assigned CPAC for the region. But please don't expect much from them unless you are applying for a job within the CPAC personnel's skill set. Typically, they will perform an automated keyword search of your packet. If you don't meet the keyword search, they'll discard your packet. If you do pass the search, your packet will be reviewed by CPAC personnel. Once there, your packet will be looked at for about 30 seconds. And then, well, we can't promise anything, except that you will have to wait for those personnel to perform an unqualified assessment of your resume. And even then, we can't promise what they're going to do with it. So you've read the posting, you figured you got what it takes for the job. Now you have no other choice but to push the Apply Now button. Now you are connected to the Application Manager website. This is nothing more than a well-organized joke, developed to avoid the need for a person-to-person conversation or initial contact with the applicant. One thing I absolutely love, the preferential points system. Why should a veteran, spouse, disabled person, or anyone receive advantage points when an application is reviewed? I am a veteran, but that should not make me automatically more qualified than someone who outqualifies me. Oh, and another joke. Current NAF employees for non-appropriated funds are only important if they're an exceptional family member and are not considered government civilians. Can't figure that one out. The next one is a little less common, but still relevant. The whole "do you live within the commuting distance" question. Let me tell you why this is so very wrong to ask. That question does not take into account those who are relocating with the military to the area of the job, but their current address reflects someplace else. Denied. Those who live 25 minutes away and are willing to make the commute. Denied. Those who are willing to relocate due to base or unit closures, but again, their current address is too far away. Wait for it. Denied. There should be a permanent requirement to include, or I am planning to relocate to a region within reasonable commuting distance. With all the moving around that DoD and service members do, the applicant may be job hunting where they are PCSing to. Might be job hunting due to a base closure and trying to figure out where they're going to go. There are about 100 reasons why this question makes no sense, other than to narrow the selection process to someone who they probably have already selected. Now you've made it to the pages of ultimately worthless questions. I call these the expert questions. Apparently it does not matter what you put on this. It does not matter if you answer truthfully on all the questions, or as an expert on all of them. Yet I can promise you seem to be better off if you answer expert on everything. These questions also in many ways negate the need for a resume in the first place, as it relieves the evaluator of the need to review your resume to find out the questioned information. Now you get to what I call the guilt trip page. This page has a few dozen slots for the attachment or reuse of documents, most which are titled for documents not even relevant to the application for the specific job, but yet all these slots are there making you feel like you might be forgetting something. Get past that part, submit your answers, and thereby your packet. First, you'll get an immediate email acknowledging the submission of your questionnaire. That's nice. Next, USA Jobs will list your application status on their website as incomplete, which should worry you at first, but don't worry. A day or two later, in most cases, this status will change to received, and you'll get another email for that. And then, cue the Jeopardy music. To fully understand what happens next, you need to know all the players involved. There's you, the USA Jobs website, the application manager, the Resume Processing Center, or Never Neverland, the CPAC, the unit human resources, and the job itself. Now, speaking from experience, there is a 1 in 5 chance that you will never, ever hear from this application again, even if you ask. 1 out of 5 is an actual statistic of my many dozens of application status that still say application received. Some have been like that for over 2 years, back when it used to say application received. And if you write an email to Never Neverland, they will give you the canned answer that you should wait a minimum of 21 days after the job posting is closed to inquire about the status, even if the job has been closed for months. My brief summary of the statuses. Incomplete. If more than a week has gone by and it still says incomplete, you screwed up somehow, or there was something that you were supposed to submit and you didn't. Received. This means nothing more than USA Jobs and the application manager have successfully sent your resume, documents, and questionnaire to Never Neverland. Again, 1 out of 5 jobs, this may be the only status you ever see. Reviewed. This means that the automated keyword search, or the much less precise CPAC personnel, have determined that you do not meet the requirements for the job. You should also not expect any consistency on this. You can apply for 10 of the exact same job openings, but strangely you will only qualify for 4 of them with the exact same resume. This is also an actual statistic, which only furthers my question about how qualified the CPAC is to evaluate your resume. Referred. This means, by some stroke of luck, your resume passed the keyword search CPAC, and you seem to have had the formatting right on your resume, and your stuff was forwarded to the unit's HR for evaluation. Not selected or not hired. This means that the HR at the unit decided that you would not be in the running for this job, or that someone else already got the job, regardless if you were ever invited for an interview. Cancelled. Okay, this is a funny one, and often quite disheartening. All government jobs are required to be made available to the public, or at least to those who are able to get the job. On very rare occasions, a job is posted but then canceled, either due to budget issues at the unit level, or it could also be that the job posting had errors and a new one needed to be made. Either way, the job opening did or does exist. Typically, however, cancellation is the HR's scapegoat, which says that the posting was only a formality, but there was, in fact, a personnel shift or promotion within the department, and an internal applicant got the job. But before I step off my soapbox, I feel it necessary to offer some solutions to the problems I see with USA Jobs. I'll start with the postings. Salary. This should only depict the base gross salary without benefits totaled in with it. Opening periods. should be limited to a maximum of maybe 30 days. Who may apply? Something needs to be done a little bit more distinctively about VEOA, as that is a category that shows up on both sides. Security clearance should be listed in the search results instead of department. About the position should be about the position and not about the location. Job summary is always about how cool it is to be a DoD civilian and has nothing to do with the job, so it can be removed. The search results should have an excerpt from the duties paragraph instead of the about the position paragraph. USA Jobs administrators should also add the following routines to their responsibilities. I assume that the HR personnel posting the jobs must have a verified account in order to post available jobs, which would mean that USA Jobs has either an individual or group email address for the posting HR. That in mind, the following actions should be implemented and could be accomplished in an automated fashion. 15 working days after a job posting has closed, USA Jobs should be sending a daily email reminder to the HR that their job posting requires attention. 30 calendar days after the job is closed and no status updates have been issued, the HR person's USA Jobs account should be suspended until a status update is given, at which time USA Jobs could automatically change the job status of the posting to dormant or something to describe that no activity or update has been performed by the HR. The CPAC. The CPAC should only be there to see if the applicant has submitted the required documents. They should not be evaluating resumes, as most of the jobs are not in the same skill set as theirs, so they really aren't qualified to actually evaluate the resumes for jobs that they honestly don't know anything about. So, why am I so hot about all this? Simple. USA Jobs is not just some throwaway website with job information. There are real people whose real lives hang on its functionality and up-to-date information. People who submit job applications are not performing this action just because. It's not Facebook. They are gearing their lives around their jobs and status. It would be really nice if USA Jobs, as well as CPAC administrators, could unscrew this process so that people can get jobs and things can get moving. Oh, and just a quick note, this video was created in one day. I used 7 different programs to include Microsoft Office. I used declared as not having sufficient computer skills. Have a nice day.